Time now for the press review with Deeptika Laurent. Good to see you, Deepti.
Hi, Delano.
You're starting out with French President Emmanuel Macron paying tribute to France's Pied Noir community yesterday, coming just weeks before the presidential elections.
That's right. And that link with the elections is what the New York Times is looking at today. They're explaining that this tribute was also political. The Pied Noir community, of course, refer to French citizens born in Algeria and forced to flee after Algeria's War of Independence, which ended in 1962. On Wednesday, the French president acknowledged as, quote, unforgivable a 1962 Pied Noir massacre when French soldiers killed dozens of unarmed anti-independence protesters. Admittedly, his speech was part of a year-long effort to resolve the pain of France's colonial past with Algeria, but recognizing the suffering of the Pied Noir is really crucial timing. Their nostalgia for France's colonial past often means that they tend to support far-right candidates like Marine Le Pen. So his official recognition of their pain and suffering certainly ties into his as yet unannounced presidential re-election campaign.
Still unannounced.
Still announced,
but
unannounced.
Very much sure it's going to happen. We'll see what happens. Now you're moving on to a story out of Poland where anger is growing because a woman was denied the right to have an abortion.
That's right. Due to the country's strict anti-abortion laws, Agnieszka, 37-year-old Agnieszka, was actually carrying twins when her first fetus died in December. Doctors refused a medical intervention to remove the fetus, citing Poland's anti-abortion legislation. Her second twin died a few days later, and her pregnancy was terminated on December 31st. What happened then was this week she died of complications from that pregnancy. Her family suspect it was due to septic shock. Poland has one of the most draconian anti-abortion laws in Europe, and abortion is not even allowed when the fetus has a life-threatening or irreversible condition. Agnieszka's family have accused the government of having blood on their hands, and certainly protesters are thinking the same way, because this Polish paper here reports that a group held a demonstration outside the headquarters of the ruling Law and Justice Party on Wednesday, calling for those anti-abortion laws to be repealed.
Moving on now to the Australian Open and the men's double finals. Looks like it's going to be an all-Aussie battle.
It will. Nick Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis, affectionately called the Special Ks, have thundered their way into a finals showdown with fellow Aussies Matt Ebden and Max Purcell. It's the first time in 42 years that the Australian Open men's doubles final will be all Australian. Nick Kyrgios, of course, is one of tennis's most unfiltered players. He's potty-mouthed, he's foul-tempered, unpredictable, a straight shooter. His showman style might be more natural in the brash world of boxing than the, quote, starchy cucumber sandwiches world of tennis. That's what this writer here for The Telegraph says. But he does bring in crowds, and he does bring in money. In fact, Netflix has been following him around for a TV show during the Australian Open. The men's doubles final has actually been moved to centre court. So like him or loathe him, it's clear that his obnoxious, loud manner is not leaving people indifferent, and that is definitely good for tennis and its bottom line.
Bring in viewers, exactly. Now, moving on to another sports story, the Winter Olympics kicking off soon.
That's right, the Beijing Winter Olympics beginning in just a week, Delano. Here on the front page of the China Daily, they're looking at this their skiing medical team, because, of course, the Winter Olympics can be very dangerous and entail some injuries. So their medical team comprises of more than 70 medical professionals who've been training for the past 4 years as emergency responders to provide aid to injured skiers if it happens. They're required, for instance, to attend to injured athletes within 4 minutes, often carrying 10 kilos of medical aid in sub-zero temperatures. Not an easy feat.
And as the game looms, so does COVID-19 hanging over the air.
That's right. Just like the Tokyo Olympics, the restrictions of social distancing are looming over the Winter Games. And all, that sort of is a kind of an issue when you have the Olympics, because the Olympics is often associated, with pleasure-deprived elite athletes with chiseled bodies in close quarters with each other at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. You get the picture. A lot happens in those athletes' villages. In fact, since 1988, the Olympics have distributed free condoms to promote safe sex. This year, though, COVID means the games are operating under strict social distancing rules. So
no touching.
No touching. In fact, athletes have been asked to minimize hugs, high fives, and handshakes. They did distribute condoms, but organizers say they are, in theory, merely commemorative.
Deepti, thank you very much for that. Deeptika Laurent with the press review, and you can check out other editions of the press review on our website. The address is france24.com.